right, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about open house and how to more effectively run your open house, optimize your strategy for open house management, leading up to the open house, advertising your property, being able to actually manage the open house itself more efficiently, and then strategies for follow-up after the open house to maximize the opportunities that you've gained there. And so what we've got today is first, I'm going to begin by explaining a little bit about who I am, what I do for the company in Delta, and why I'm leading today's webinar. So my name is Franklin Stouffer. I am the Vice President of Sales here at Delta Media Group. I've been in the industry about 9 years, and I work exclusively with enterprise brokerages and top producing teams and agents across the country. So I handle all of our strategies, and I work directly with agents in our advisory committee meetings and being able to gather feedback about tools and strategies and things that agents are doing across the country that they're finding success with. And so part of what we do in our advisory committee calls, where I take groups of brokerages that are using our software at Delta, and we hear feedback about the things that are working or not working with real estate agents, especially as it relates to technology, tools, and overall strategies that brokerages across the country are deploying. And I got the idea to run this webinar today based off of a lot of feedback that we were getting from different advisory committee brokerages, which are almost exclusively made up of RealTrends top 500 ranked firms. Usually the ones that are brokerages doing over $1 billion in transaction that have hundreds, if not thousands of agents. And those advisory committee meetings brought to light a lot of success that agents were having with different tools that we have inside of the DeltaNet. And it led me to be able to take a look at some of the things that other brokerages in the marketplace are doing, even ones that aren't using Delta Media Group's technology tools, the DeltaNet. And so I wanted to take some time and really look and analyze what a real estate agent should be doing, not even just with Delta Media Group's tools, but any technology offerings that are available in the marketplace and ways that they could more effectively run open houses. Especially as more and more open houses are coming on the market. You've got properties staying on market longer, open houses being more expected. They're, of course, a great opportunity to find your next seller. And so as open house numbers tick up, I thought it was a good time to really hone in on what I'm hearing from agents that are using our technology tools, as well as the overall strategies that I've learned over the last couple of months as I did a deeper dive into overall open house management. And for those that aren't using the DeltaNet, we are going to be talking about some of the tools that are in our platform, but this webinar is intended for both our customers and any real estate agent or brokerage that may be attending. So you do not need to be using our tools to be able to have takeaways from what I'm going to be discussing today. Really, any agent that has access to a CRM, any type of email marketing platform, you're going to be able to have strong takeaways from the overall strategies and the direction that I give on today's webinar. So I just want to reiterate, if you do have your own tech platform and you're not looking to make a move, please stay on. There's plenty of content that's going to be relevant for you. If you are a Delta Media Group customer, we're going to be talking about some specific products that we have as they relate to the overall open house strategies we're going to be discussing today. And if you're interested in using some of these tools and you don't quite know how they work, or you want some help from a software consultant to help you get set up, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Really, our goal is to make sure we're just delivering content back to the agents and that they've got software that empowers them to be successful. And so what I want to lead with is talking about some of the tools you're going to see as I go over these open house strategies. The DeltaNet platform that you're going to see on today's webinar is the off-the-shelf version of the DeltaNet. It's always important for me to give a disclaimer whenever I do these webinars. Anything that we're going to be showing in my live walkthroughs is going to be a standard version of our software, but we're really unique at Delta in that we customize the platform for each brokerage that we implement the DeltaNet for. And the DeltaNet is an all-in-one platform that manages websites, email marketing, CRM, and hundreds of other tools and products and services that are all lumped together in our all-in-one platform. So there are multiple different versions of our system. There's plenty of agents across the country that don't even realize they have the DeltaNet because their brokerages have completely white labeled it and made it feel like something unique to their brokerage. So this is just giving you guys an idea. If you see something in my walkthrough today that doesn't line up with your own version of the software, that's totally fine. Again, the goal here is we're going to be talking about overall strategies and best practices that agents should be taking as it relates to open house management. We're just going to be showing in our system a little bit about how you'd be able to accomplish these things. So the meat of today's presentation is going to be over these 4 bullet points. So how agents can more effectively advertise upcoming open houses, and this will be on both paid strategies and non-paid strategies, how to more effectively run the open house itself. So making sure when you're actually in the open house during the hours the property is open, that you're able to maximize your time and engage with as many customers as possible. Also, how to more effectively communicate with customers from the open house after it is concluded. So making sure that you're staying in touch with anybody that did actually come and visit your property. And then finally, what we can be doing to have ongoing marketing to open house attendees to pick up potential sellers. I see a lot of other technology vendors and even some real estate brokerages that really hone in on the buyer element of open houses, which of course, is part of the purpose, but it's also a great avenue to pick up your next seller. And being able to focus on delivering content and ways to engage with customers to get that selling opportunity, I think is very important in an area that is sometimes missed. And so we're going to kind of go in order here of these 4 bullet points, where I'm going to talk about different strategies that are in place on how you can first begin advertising upcoming open houses. And so in our platform, we have a tool called AdWizard, and many brokerages are using companies like AdWorks, HomeSpotter. There's plenty of other like AdPhoenix, plenty of other advertising programs online, but they can be very successful when you talk about doing automated advertising for an open house. An area that we've seen a lot of brokerages fixate on is doing automated advertising just for new listings. But it actually can be really beneficial to be running ads for your open house on Facebook, where you could do really good geographic targeting of that open house. So this is actually the original paid advertising program that Delta put in place nearly 7 years ago. We've been running bulk ads for open houses for many of our enterprise customers for nearly a decade, and we have a ton of data and research about how these ads perform and what directly translates to foot traffic at open houses by running these ads. So any platform that you may want to use for running an ad, or even just going through Facebook directly, there's a big benefit if you're advertising an open house strategically, and it's not very expensive to do either. So as we talk about the open house, we want to really focus on how are we going to get people to it, how are we going to work it, how are you going to follow up after the fact. And so we want to drive foot traffic as much as possible to get people in the door, and ads are one great easy way to do that. So here you're seeing a screenshot of an ad that we run for Remax DFW, a brokerage that we work with down in Dallas, Texas, that's been doing automated open house advertising for many years. And so one of the things that we put together is really analyzed across all the brokerages that we're doing open house ads for, and putting together an average so we could directly tell you what we would expect you to see if you were running an open house ad. We've done a lot of different research. We've done ads that are 4 days, 5 days, and we really found that the sweet spot for the most bang for your buck and the actual best value for your money is to do a 2-day ad leading up to the open house. And we normally schedule it to run the day before the open house. The ad goes live on Facebook, and we normally are doing within a 15-mile radius of the actual property itself, although you can select your specific radius targeting however you'd like. But our sweet spot and how we handle the ads is the day before the open house begins, we're going to start an ad on Facebook that's going to be targeting a 15-mile radius around the property. We run that all the way up until 1 hour before the open house begins. And the total cost for our ad run is $24, so basically $12 per day. And what we normally see is 1,700 impressions of that open house ad, 1,400 unique people reached by the ad. We average 75 clicks back to the property detail page on our website, where people can view more information about the property. And overall, that's a 4% click-through rate of people that see the ad and then click through to get to your website to learn more about the property. And after direct conversations we've had with brokerages that are doing open house advertising on our platform, we're seeing across the board, agents do report after the ads begin running that they see a noticeable increase in traffic to their open houses. So you're getting to advertise the property at the same time that you're advertising the upcoming open house, and it's happening the day before and the day of the open house, and you're reaching people that are within a 15-mile radius of that property. Now, one thing I want to talk about, and we'll jump into the DeltaNet and I'll walk you through just how you would set up this ad in our platform, is that most advertising services let you completely automate this ad, because we don't want this to be one more step that the agent has to take. Literally everything that I'm going to be talking about today is designed for the agent to literally set this thing up one time and have it automated. At Delta Media Group, our mission statement is we automate to elevate life. We're always looking for ways to automate services for the agents to give them time back in their day. And so all of the strategies and things we're going to be talking about today are really designed so that if an agent does these things one time, they don't need to come in here and change their day-to-day workflow. They don't need to consistently be logging in and entering their credit card and going through processes to do things. The goal is you set it up one time, you get the strategy started, and the ball is rolling. You don't have to do anything else as the agent once this is all started. So we're going to be showing here how you can automate open house advertising as well, which can be done either at a brokerage level or at an agent level. So while we at the enterprise side are doing bulk advertising, for example, for all of a brokerage's open houses, each individual agent can also choose how they want their open house advertisements to be run. So what we're going to do here is jump into the DeltaNet, which is our software that we manage as our all-in-one technology platform. And again, this is the off-the-shelf version of the system. And for the purpose of today's webinar, I've actually created a workflow where I put all of the related tools and features that are going to impact open houses. I created a landing page and put navigation items for all of my open house related tools right in this one workflow. So if you're a brokerage that uses the DeltaNet, and this might be a little bit of a creative idea for you, you can actually create your own workflows through our navigation and access tools that allow you as the brokerage to create unique workflows where, for example, here, I've got open houses, prospecting, marketing, automating. These are all different workflows for me, but I tucked everything we're going to talk about today underneath of the open houses tab. And so here we've got a link that's going to take me to open house ads. In our system, you can manually create an ad super easily to run for an open house. If you just want to do it as a one-off, maybe you're having trouble with the property and the agent wants to get just a little bit of extra oomph, get some extra eyes on the property, you could come into the AdWizard program and you have the ability to click the plus button to create an open house ad. So I've designated I want to run an open house ad so I can find any listing that belongs to the company. It doesn't even need to be my own property. So it'll show you all of your listings that belong to the brokerage. Here I've pulled up this agent, Harley. I've got his listing active. So I've pulled it through. I can see what the ad is going to look like on the right, and I can select my targeting on the left. So by default, we've got a 15-mile radius. But if you want to get even closer, you can actually get as low as 1 mile radius around the property. So you can get really specific with your targeting if you'd like. You can also change, there's multiple template options that are available for the agent to select from, so they can change different elements of the design itself. You can also change the headline, details that are going to be shown on the ad. You can link where this is going to go back to. By default, we're going to send traffic back to the property detail page of this listing. And maybe we want to make the photo on the ad the actual exterior shot of the property. So I can come in here and I can change out the photos, and it's going to show me all the photos that exist for this property. And we'll go to the next step. This is going to give me an overview of the ad that's going to run. So this is actually running a 3-day ad by default here. So it's going to be a $36 ad run, and I can see the estimated clicks and traffic we would see from this ad. And if I go to the final step here, this is where the agent would enter their credit card to purchase and run the ad. So we're talking about the paid strategy here first, and then we're going to dig into the non-paid strategies in a moment. As we talk about automated advertising, right within AdWizard, you can also automate this. So if you don't want to have to come into the system to run an ad every time you have an open house, you could simply click on the 3 dots and say automation. I've set this up in advance, but I'm going to walk through and show you. You can simply create a new profile and say, I want to create a payment profile for automating my open houses. I could also automate new listings, price reductions, or market landing pages on my website. So we're going to say, let's go ahead and automate our open houses. And I'm willing to spend $24 a week on an open house ad. And I only want to run them for listings that are listed over $300,000. You could set your default radius for how you want to target the area around the property. And then I could also say only run the ads for my residential active properties that have upcoming open houses. You've also got an option to force registration. So we can actually say any traffic that comes to your website from a paid ad has to enter their contact information before they can see any details about the property. So this is popular for agents that are really trying to get additional leads in their system. They could check the box to force registration. So anybody that does click on that Facebook ad and gets to your website, they have to enter their information before they can see any details of the property. So again, in the AdWizard system, you could set this up at an individual agent level to automate your advertising as an agent. And this can also be done at a brokerage level as well. So that's a little bit about the specific paid advertising. So again, AdWizard is just one option. Any agent that's using any system can actually find there's either directly through Facebook, the ability to build and run ads, or you can do it through other programs like AdWorks, AdPhoenix. There's plenty of options out there that will allow you to run automated advertising. And so let's go back here and talk about one of the next topics, which is non-paid advertising strategies. So obviously agents aren't looking to spend a ton of additional money, even if we're only talking about a $20 to $30 ad. I know things, people are tightening their belts at the moment. So one of the other areas that I really wanted to focus on is how you can get creative and drive traffic via non-paid advertising strategies. So we have two tools within our system, but again, virtually every all-in-one platform will have some form of option to allow you to create postcards and flyers, and also being able to get creative with your email marketing approach. So being able to send bulk email marketing to a list of customers. Virtually every CRM is going to have that type of functionality. And so first, what I want to do before I get into any of the how these things work in our system is I actually want to share a direct story that we had from a success story from an agent using our system. And so what I was told by the brokerage was that they had an agent who had a pretty creative listing. It was a unique property in the Pacific Northwest. The home was going to be selling for $800,000. And in the Seattle region, that's not meaning it's a luxury property. It was just a standard, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom home, but in a unique area of town. And so the agent was going to be trying to drive traffic to an open house. And at the time, this was actually a couple of years ago, before they were able to do in-person open houses, they were doing virtual open houses. And so what the agent had done was they took their list of potential buyers that they had in their CRM. On average, agents have about 300 contacts in their CRM. And so this agent took their contact list, had them segmented into potential buyers, and then about 15 minutes before they went live on Facebook to do a virtual open house at the property, they sent an email blast to all of the contacts in their list. And that agent had over 75 concurrent live viewers watching them go live on a Facebook walkthrough of the property for a virtual open house. And so we've actually seen that replicated many times over the last year, where if you take your list, and I'm going to show you how you can do it in our system, but you take your list of customers and then narrow down to the people that are looking at specific types of properties. For example, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in a certain price range. You can then send and schedule a bulk email that will run to them and hit their inbox. And you could do it an hour before the open house. You could do it the morning of, is typically what we recommend, to email your potential buyers the morning of the open house, notifying them that you're going to be having the property open. But also we've seen agents still be very successful by doing virtual open houses, driving traffic to Facebook Lives. So we're going to talk about both creating postcards and flyers, as well as how you can segment your list and run targeted email marketing to get people interested in your open house. So we're going to jump back into the DeltaNet here, and I'm going to actually begin with the email blast, because I think this is actually one of the easiest and most tangible ways that you're going to get somebody interested in coming to your open house. So here's an example. We're going to go into our customer list. So this is our CRM. Obviously, every system is going to be a little bit different, but they're all going to have a contact list. One of the things that we're able to do in our CRM is when you're looking at all of your contacts, you've got a filter button. And inside of your filters, you're actually able to filter your entire contact list based off of what type of properties your customers have looked at on your website. So literally anybody that's ever been active on your brokerage's website or on your agent website, this allows you to filter and say, I want to just filter my list down to people that are looking for properties in a specific area of town. So I could enter the city of Canton. You could actually narrow it down into school districts, subdivisions, people that are only looking for properties in a certain price range. And I'm going to go ahead and narrow my list down. So by doing that, I can see that we have 3 contacts in my list that are actually active, looking for properties in the area where I know I'm going to be running an open house. So these are people in my CRM. And so I could take these 3 people now. We'll just check the box and say, I want to take all of these customers. And now I'm going to open it up and I can now interact with these customers. And I could say, I want to send an email blast to all of those contacts. So it's a customer search group. And I could see it's actually pulling in 7 customers, because each one of the contacts in our system can have family accounts. So you might have had a husband that was looking at properties in the city of Canton, and attached to his account might be a wife, might be children. So you can have multiple contacts affiliated with each other, which is why you saw that number jump from 3 to 7, because our contact allows you to have family records. And so now I can say, these people I know were interested in properties in the area. So we're going to go ahead and schedule an email that's going to run to those customers. So I could say we want to run an upcoming open house. And then I want to be able to schedule this for later. So even though I might not be running the open house for a couple of days, if you click the send later button, this allows you to schedule the email to run down to the specific hour and minute that you want this to hit their inbox. So if you know the open house is going to be happening at 2 p.m., you might want to send all of your customers that you think might be interested an email at 9 a.m. So right there, first thing in the morning, they're going to get an email. They can plan their day that they might come check out the property. So you can schedule that email to run. Now, inside of our email blast system, once you've actually run an email, you can actually come into the history and see who it was that interacted with that email. So I scheduled this to run earlier today. So I had put together an email, and I can preview, this is what the email looked like that I had put together. So it'll say customer's first name. Here's some information about the open house we're going to be running. I plugged some details about the property so they could see the listing and get more information about it on my website. And then I've got my footer at the bottom. And so I scheduled and sent this email, and because it was already run, I can actually look at a detailed history of the email and see how many emails were sent, who opened that email, and who clicked on it. So if I sent an email to 50 people, I can actually come in here again the day of the open house and actually see who was interested enough to click on that email, because maybe I want to give them a phone call and say, hey, I know that you saw the email I sent this morning about the open house that I'm running at 2 o'clock. I wanted to personally invite you to come. I think you might be really interested in it. You can take that extra proactive step to make a couple of phone calls, because you know exactly who it was that interacted and opened your email. So it's getting really into the nitty gritty of prospecting. So again, that's the email blasts. You can create an email. You can send it to any group of customers. Maybe I want to send this to all of my marketing customers. So everybody in my CRM, I might want to let everybody know I'm going to be doing an open house today. You can create your subject. You attach any files or information you want to the email, and then you can schedule it to run at the date and time you'd like. And again, best practices, everything that we've researched is you're going to want to send that out the morning of the open house to your customers. And then maybe an hour beforehand, come in and take a look at the history so you know who it was that interacted with the email. And you can send a couple of text messages or make a few phone calls as you get ready for the open house to try to get them to actually come. The next thing that we want to talk about is the actual print collateral side of things. So maybe instead in your market, online ads aren't as prevalent, and there are plenty of markets in the country where print advertising is still king. And so maybe you want to do something where you're creating flyers, or you're going to be sending postcards to a neighborhood to try to get people interested in looking at the property. Inside of the DeltaNet, we have the Delta Create tool. And Delta Create allows you to get access to hundreds of different postcards, flyers, brochures. And again, you can use Canva. It doesn't have to be inside of our system. There are tons of flyer builders out there online. But one of the benefits of using Delta Create is I can see, for example, if I typed in open house, I would get a result back of all of the open house related flyers. And here we're looking at my favorites. So I've got a couple of designs in here that I like. So maybe I want to send a postcard about an open house. So I can click on the design that I want to use. It's going to build the editor. So I can see right here in line, this is the open house design. If I click on the design in any place, it's going to show me my active listings with upcoming open houses. I selected the open house that we're going to be running on Saturday. All the details carried through automatically. The system picked up on the open house and the date and time that's going to be running. I could see all the photos of the property have been carried through, so I could find the right photo I want to use for this particular postcard. And then I also can do things like change out my logo. If I wanted to adjust which logo was on the design, if you wanted to mess with any of the design elements, you can. You could see where the bleeds are going to be. So where the cut lines are for this particular design are being represented by the dotted lines here. And so if you're happy with how this looks, you have the ability to share it. So I've built my postcard. I'm happy with how everything looks here. I now have the ability to send it to Facebook, make a Facebook post about it, or a tweet. I could email this design as an e-card directly to a list of my customers. And then here you're also seeing we have printers connected to our account. By default, our customers will be able to connect to Express Docs as an option. So you can actually have print fulfillment through Express Docs where you can go through their system, order, say 100 postcards. You could set the neighborhood where you want those postcards mailed to. And so we have a really good integration with them where any of the designs within Delta Create can be sent to their system for the actual print fulfillment piece. Or if you're going to be doing the printing yourself, you can download this design as a PDF, a PNG, or a JPEG, and you can just print it yourself and you can do DIY. So you can create the design here, and then you're able to print them off and send them. Again, best practices from what I've heard as it relates to the print marketing is being able to put that postcard together. You usually want to have these hitting the mailbox the day before the open house runs. So again, you've got a bunch of different design options within Delta Create. People can go through Canva to create those postcards. I've also heard that flyers for open houses aren't really resonating. You're spending money on flyers. You're not going to get a whole lot of traction out of them. I would recommend postcards as it relates to the print style advertising for an open house. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually managing the open house when it is the time of the open house itself. So we have a tool, and there's tons on the marketplace as well for open house management. And really, again, the name of the game is automation. We want the agent to not have to worry about trying to collect information from everybody that comes into the open house. And we want this to be as streamlined as possible so the agent can focus on communicating with the people in the open house rather than collecting information. And so my recommendation is to find an open house app. For Delta Media Group customers, Open House Connector is included. There's no extra charge for our app. And it's important that you find an app and not just rely on something that's web-based, because there are properties where there's not going to be internet access. It might be a rural property. It might be remote. There might not be Wi-Fi or data active. And you're going to want something that's going to be able to work even if you're offline. And so that's where the open house apps become really popular, because you can collect the information offline. And then when your phone or tablet or computer connects to the internet, it'll sync all of the contacts back into your CRM. And so the way that these apps typically work, and I'll show you how ours works, is you're going to have a way of collecting information of everybody that enters the property. And you usually want to do this in a non-intrusive way. Really, since 2020, the most popular way to get information is just have somebody scan a QR code when they enter the house. So one of the things that's become popular is before your open house, you just print off a QR code, and then you put that QR code on the front door, or like literally on a little flyer stand, right, when somebody enters the house. And you just ask everybody that comes in, hey, can you go ahead and scan that QR code before they get started looking at the property? When they scan the QR code, they're on their own phone. They're on their own device. It's a lot more sanitary, and people are a lot more willing to just plug in a couple of quick informational prompts when they're right on their own phone, right when they enter the door, rather than asking them to sit down at a computer or ask them to hand them your tablet. That's a little bit old-fashioned. Typically, the most popular way is via QR code. And so what this is going to do is when somebody scans that QR code, they're going to be given a series of questions or survey questions or prompts that you can customize per open house, where you're going to collect different information from the customer when they enter the open house. You're now collecting their contact information, and then you can actually have automated survey questions run after the open house as well. Based off of how those customers enter information, we can automatically segment those contacts into different user groups. So as one key example, one of the first questions that we usually ask when somebody scans the QR code is, are you already represented by another real estate agent? If they answer yes, then we segment them out and we're not going to pull them into your contact list. If they say no, we can have them automatically imported into an open house follow-up drip campaign. So you have ongoing communications running to that contact. So we want to be able to collect and survey the customers as they enter the door. And then we want to have automated follow-up running to those contacts, because if the open house is really busy, you may not get a chance to really talk to everybody that's come in, but you still can collect all sorts of information about that person via the open house management app. And so we try to make this as straightforward as possible within our system. And so every DeltaNet, regardless of if you're in DeltaNet 6 or 7, or even running on DeltaNet 5, you'll have access to the open house connector. And originally, this was an app that you would have to download through the iOS or Android app stores. But now, with a resurgence of QR codes, you can also do everything completely web-based as well. So inside of Open House Connector, the first time you open it up, the system is going to ask you a couple of questions. So you can download the app if you do want it on your phone. Again, it's nice to be able to use it offline, so you can have the mobile app version. You can also download it on Google Play, so it'll work on an Android or Apple phone. Or you can say, I want to just use it in the web browser. So this is going to let me actually launch the open house. So we're getting close to the open house. You want to get things going. This will show me all of my upcoming open houses. So I'm a real estate agent in my account. I've got open houses scheduled for the weekend. I can see the one that's going to run on Saturday, and I have one that's going to run on Sunday. You can also see all of the company open houses as well. So if you're an agent that's covering for somebody else, or you're doing an open house at a property that's not your listing, you could still come in here and I could see all of the company's open houses as well. So you can run them even if it's not your open house, or your listing rather. So here we're going to launch our open house for 867 South Boulevard. So it's already populated through. I click one button. It's actually opened up the prompt on my computer. So if I wanted, I could leave my laptop out and just tell people when they enter, go ahead and scan the QR code. Or if they happen to not have their phone or they don't have service, you can actually have them sign in manually through the computer as well. So you see some details of the property pulled through. I can sign in. And these are the exact same prompts that I'm about to walk through that the customer will see on their phone if they scan the QR code. So when you scan the code, or if you click the sign in button, you're going to have the exact same prompts. So I click sign in. It's going to give you the ability to collect information. So we're going to say, my name is Franklin Stouffer. Here is my email address and my phone number. And then we're going to go ahead to the next step. And I have pre-built survey questions here. Are you working with another agent? No, I'm not. Would I rate the curb appeal of the home? So obviously when they enter the property, they were probably taking a look at it. So we'll say it's in good condition. And that's all the prompts that we have at the time that they're signing in. So you can say, thank you for registering. Go ahead and enjoy the open house. So again, you could print this in advance. You can literally have the QR code just on a sheet of paper on the front door when people enter. You just want to be able to collect information. And I can see now there are 2 people registered at this open house. If I go back into the DeltaNet, you're also able to see every single open house that you've run through the open house connector. So I could come back and see that this open house was run last year. We had one that we ran. So I can click on that and it's going to show me exactly who answered the different prompts inside of the survey that we asked. I could see the guests that attended the property and I could see how they answered the questions. So again, we have collected specific information from everybody that's come into the property. And you can configure your survey questions for each open house that you run. So you've got your open house survey. When somebody scans that code, you could see there was 2 questions that we asked right away when they entered the property. And you could turn on or off different questions from being asked. You could also drag and drop them. So you can ask questions at the time they enter the home. And you can also have an automated follow-up survey that runs to them after an hour after the open house has ended. So they'll get a follow-up survey at the end where you can then ask a different set of questions. For example, are you considering purchasing the property? Maybe a great question you want to ask. So again, you can add your own survey questions. So you could do custom questions, make them multi-select, whatever information you want to collect. You've got your own builder to collect unique information here within the open house connector. I also have different settings. So you can change the prompt. So when people scan the code, what are you asking them to do? Do you want it to be QR code only, or can they sign in using the app? You can auto import guests. So anybody that comes to your open house, you're going to want to import them into a user group. So that way they're in your CRM. So we've got it set up so it's going to automatically import all of your contacts into an open house group. And we're going to use this open house group for our follow-up after the open house and our drip campaigns. And then you can also designate your autoresponders. So what should somebody get after they've signed in? They're going to get an email automatically as a thank you for coming to the open house from the agent. So the goal is these open house apps like Open House Connector allow the agent to hands-free, hands-off, collect information from people entering the home. You've got them captured inside of the CRM. You have specific questions where based on how they answer questions, they get segmented into different user groups. And then from those user groups is going to be how you do all of your follow-up after the open house is concluded. So we're going to go actually directly into the email drip campaigns. And this is a critical part of how all of this is going to tie together, because every CRM worth its salt is going to have the ability to do action plans or drip campaigns. And doing one automatically after an open house is really, really important because those customers are your highest probability that they're going to do something, either buy or potentially sell if they were motivated enough to come check out a property in person, assuming they're not just a nosy neighbor. So inside of our drip campaign system, we're going to look for all of our open house related campaigns. And out of the box, these are going to be included for all of our customers. There's multiple campaigns that have been set up. So here we're going to look at our buyer open house campaign. And this one is specific because it's only for people that physically attended an open house. So we're going to go ahead and look at the campaign itself. And again, we're following best practices here. I recommend campaigns typically only be 5 to 6 steps. And beyond that, you're going to want to have different actions based off of if the customer interacts or engages with your emails in any way. So when you're setting up a campaign for the first time, you're going to want to make sure you've got people coming into the campaign automatically. We don't want the agent to have to do anything. So this could be set up by the company and apply these settings for all of your agents so they don't have to do this. Or as an agent, you can set this up one time and you never have to do it again. And what we're going to be showing here is when you're looking at a campaign, you can set up the sources for how contacts get into the campaign. And so we have a source that's set up here for Open House Connector. So we're going to remove that so I can illustrate how you would set it up. We're going to say add a source, and I'm going to type in Open House. Here's our Open House Connector. So we're going to say save. And now every single contact that signs in through your Open House app will automatically be imported into this customer action plan. So I can see we've got 3 sources pulling 33 customers into my campaign. And here's how the campaign works. It's just a timeline. On day 1, we're going to send an email. And again, these should not just be buyer-focused emails or content. So for example, right after they signed in, they came to my open house the next day, when they get synced into the system, we're going to say, do you want to know your home's value? And I could preview. This is exactly what this email is going to look like. It's a thank you for attending the open house. And here's a call to action to visit my website to get an automated home value estimate. Every one of the advanced agent websites on our platform has a built-in AVM tool where the customers can enter their address and get automated home value estimates on the value of their property. So it's a great way to generate potential lead opportunities. Also, you've got the ability to attach a market watch report as part of a campaign. So I do also highly recommend this because it's going to be giving the customer something of value from the agent automatically that's going to be really important for them to see. So we can say anybody that attended an open house that I'm running, and I only work, for example, in the city of Canton, I could come in here and say, I want a market watch to attach. So we're going to edit this. And I could say, as soon as somebody comes into the open house, we're going to automatically enroll them to get a market watch report about Canton City School District. Or you could do it for the entire county, or you could do it for a specific neighborhood. And then you could say how often they should be getting the market watch updates. As an example, I'm going to show you what our market watch reports look like, just so you can see an example of what we're going to be sending to the customer. So they attended an open house in the city. They're automatically going to start getting these high quality reports showing them an overview of the activity happening within the market, the median sold price, number of closed sales, new listings on the marketplace. So they're going to get a high quality report showing them all the activity within the market, even things like average days on site. So you want to be able to automatically send market watches to anybody that's part of an open house campaign. And then below that, you've got timelines for things like day 2, day 5, we're going to send an email, day 8. And then you can set up a notification to say, notify me when somebody has gone through all of the steps of the campaign so I can try to call them or re-engage with them in some way. Or you can chain this campaign to another one. And so what's really popular, I do typically recommend this, is at the end of your open house campaign, if they haven't clicked on anything, they haven't engaged with you in any way, chain them into a general holiday campaign. So because they came to one of your open houses, they get Merry Christmas emails for all eternity. So you want to enroll them, start getting the ongoing holiday email marketing running to them. It's just another touch point for your brand, but you could chain them into any other campaign you wanted. So if you've got a cold lead campaign set up, you could chain it so that it links into the cold lead campaign. Or if you want to turn it into any other type of campaign you can think of, chaining allows you to tie campaigns together. And again, like with the email blast system, on every single email that is a part of a campaign, you do have the ability to look at a detailed history of the number of emails that went out, who clicked on it, who interacted with those emails. So you do have specific tracking to know how people are engaging with your email marketing. The other area that we want to talk about beyond just being able to set up the drip campaigns is I also want to talk about two other tools as they relate to open houses. So this is firstly going to be talking about Social Connector. So again, in the interest of automation, we do think it's very valuable to be able to make social media posts about your upcoming open houses without having to manually write the post. Again, we want to give the agent as much time back in their day as possible. So if they connect their Facebook, their Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn accounts to the DeltaNet, you can automate open house content. And more importantly, you can automate that content to delete after the open house has ended. So you could say, I want to have automated open house posts being run on Facebook and on Instagram. Every time I have an upcoming open house entered at the MLS, our system picks that up. We're going to automatically make a post on Facebook or Instagram, and then we're going to be able to delete that post after a certain number of days. And that is definitely a best practice so that you don't have old open house content on your Facebook page. That might be confusing for a customer. They're going to see old stale content on your page. So we normally recommend to schedule those open house posts to delete after a week of being posted. That way it'll automatically clean up your page and you keep things looking nice. You can also come in here and you can actually schedule and change the templates for what's going to be posted on your accounts. So we actually have the Delta Create templates for open house posts already published here. So you're able to go in here, you can select one of these posts to be the default. So here I can say I want to use this Facebook design, hit save, and now every time I have an upcoming open house, it's going to take this design and make that my post on Facebook, and it's going to delete it 7 days later. So again, automating your open house social media content. Social Connector is included. These aren't paid ads. These are just regular posts that are being posted on the social media channels. Again, automated. And finally, if you are running ads, you're driving traffic to the open house, you've got Open House Connector running, so you're collecting information of how the open house is running. And then you've got drip campaigns, which may be advertising properties. You've got ongoing email marketing running to all of the people that have come to the open house. You can also have all of that automatically represented on the seller report. So you as the agent don't want to have to manually put together a report to give back to the seller. We also want to be able to actually show the seller all of the activity that we're doing to market their property. And so here is 867 South Boulevard, which is the property that we were running the open house for. So I can come in and I can see the sellers that are tied to this. And I have the ability to create seller reports that are going to run to the seller. So here I'm going to download this. I'll show you an example of the default report here. So this is a report that would automatically go to the seller on a weekly basis. Here's the property that's been listed. There's been 26 leads on this property. I can see the search result interest of the listing, the number of times it's appeared in the search result and detail page views, all the showings that we've had on the property, any of the open houses that we've run for this listing. I can also see the number of flyers or e-cards that were created about this property. And you can also even see things like how many people engaged with the virtual tour or any ads that were run. You're going to be able to see the ads represented right on the seller report. So the seller knows immediately all the activity that you're taking to advertise the property. And these reports are all automated. It'll automatically build and tie all those stats together so the agent doesn't have to manually do it. And the very last tool in here that we're going to show before I jump back to the keynote is we also have the market update page, which allows the agent to see any upcoming open houses within the brokerage. So this is just a widget. You could put it on any page of the system, and it's going to show all of the company open houses with some quick details. So I can see at a glance that this brokerage has 4 open houses that are going to be running this weekend, and I can see the times. I can see the agent that's running the open house. I've got the details here. So at a glance, I can see all the open house activity happening. And so really what I want to do here to wrap up is I want to talk about the overall strategy. And I want to talk about specifically how you can leverage these tools or any technology tools to more efficiently run your open houses. So when you're trying to get traffic to the open house, the number one way that we've seen things be very, very successful as it relates to online tools is running those open house ads. I highly recommend trying or experimenting with them. They're very inexpensive. Again, $12 per day. So $12 to $24 to run an open house ad. Do it the day before and the day of the open house. See if you see a difference on traffic entering the home. If you get more people than normal, obviously that's a sign that that's going to be working in your marketplace. And you could turn those on or off. It doesn't take very much to experiment with those ads. Managing the open house itself. Again, the QR codes printed, putting it on the wall, putting it on the front door, some way of collecting information so you don't miss out on any opportunities when people come in the home. Make sure that those contacts are tied to an email campaign or a drip campaign. That way you've got ongoing content running back to the people that attended the open house. So I, as the agent, don't have to reach out to them. I literally will only get notified if they click on something that I'm email marketing to them in an automated drip campaign that I don't have to manage. So you scan the QR code, I'm in the campaign, I'm getting your email marketing. If I click on something, bam, the app automatically notifies me as the agent. I know I've got a prospect on the line. I recommend in those campaigns, you have seller content as well, because you might get somebody that clicks on that email, goes to your website, they look up the value of their property, they ask for some form of CMA. Now you've got a potential listing opportunity. It's important to think that anybody that entering the house is not only a potential buyer, they're also a potential seller. And you have different ways that you can engage with them via tools that are included inside of the DeltaNet or other products and services. And then I do also recommend doing the market watches. Is our number one most click-through, most engaged email marketing that we do at Delta is market watch reports. They're very valuable. They give the customer something from the agent that is relevant to their interests. And so those market watch reports do have a very high engagement. And having those automatically built for the markets where you're doing open houses, that goes a long way. And again, this only needs to be set up one time, and you could do it in bulk at a company level and have these settings in place for your agents. So they've got the benefit of having these, all the open house advertising ready to go. The last thing to recap is the seller reports. I do also recommend keeping the seller abreast of all the information that you've collected at the open houses or that you've collected through your advertising efforts for that open house, and being able to have a report that's put together automatically for you. That's kind of a recap of all the work you've done inside of the seller reports is huge. So that's kind of an overview of what I wanted to cover today. I will take a couple minutes here at the end to answer a few questions. We've got done about 10 minutes early. So I'm going to take a look at the Q&A and see if there's anything in here that I can address. I set up an advertisement. So the question asked was, to clarify, if I set up an advertisement from my DeltaNet and someone else's listings, that the leads come to me. That is correct. If you set up an ad for an open house through AdWizard, it's going to link that traffic back to your agent website. And if it's your agent website, it's your lead. So any lead that comes through your website is going to be assigned to you, even if it's another agent's listing. That's our default configuration. So yes, that is exactly how that would work. Is there any other questions? I'll leave the room open here for another minute or so I can answer any last minute questions. If there are no more, thank you everybody for attending the webinar today. Again, this was recorded. It'll be going up on our YouTube channel. You can share this with agents, office managers, anybody in your organization that you think it may be valuable for. Thank you guys again. It looks like we don't have any questions and the room's emptying out. So until next time, everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you.